that. So finally some news. So for the Team USA, a couple of Duke guys and some Laker guys are made the final 17 roster spots. Pretty sure they'll cut that down to like 12 or 13 once they're done with all their exhibition games. But guys in like Kyle Kuzma, Jason Tatum, Marvin Bagley III, and Mason Plumlee. 3 guys from Duke, 1 guy from the Lakers. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure at least 2 to 3 of them can make it officially once they set their final roster. But it's really just going to depend on injuries and everything like that. So we'll see how they do on their tour down in, I believe the championship is going to be in Australia. So it'll be interesting to see how they do with all that type of traveling. Then Evan Mobley, the #1 player in 2020 coming out of high school basketball, chose to come to USC, which obviously I'm pretty happy about, but it kind of came at a risk also, just because USC did sign his brother Isaiah Mobley last year, but they also had to get their dad on the roster as an assistant coach. And I'm pretty sure that sweetened the deal to make sure they got 2 of the top players coming out in consecutive years to go to USC basketball. It's tough, and I'm pretty sure once those guys move on to the NBA, that coach isn't going to be there. If Andy Einfeld is still the head coach at USC, but pretty sure it's kind of, backdoor agreement that they have going on right now. But the USC basketball team is in Europe right now, playing against some of the younger select teams of the nations out there. And they played Spain recently, a few days ago. And luckily USC won by nearly 50 points, if not over 50 points. So that's pretty good to see. At least a college team from America is at least still developed enough to beat some other team somewhere else. But hopefully they don't slip up and end up embarrassing themselves against not the top competition out there. Kind of a weird angle. Hopefully the light stays up, but yes, some little bit of Chargers and some of the type of news coming up and Lakers stuff. So LeBron is trying to coordinate a little mini workout, like group camp for the Lakers in Las Vegas, because a lot of the guys were there for the USA basketball, but just because he could go against the competition out there, since a pretty good amount of the NBA players are out there. But trying to get the chemistry down and build a good rapport with a lot of the guys on the team right now that he obviously didn't play with last year, and try to get something going, and hopefully that could be beneficial to them once the season starts. Then also Kyle Kuzma is saying that he can live up to be the 3rd star of the Lakers. As of right now, he has that much confidence in himself. It's good to see. Hopefully he can prove it. He also says he doesn't mind coming off the bench either, which to me, a lot of times when the big 3 were starting, when one team had 3 top players, Lakers kind of had that before when it was Kobe and Pau Gasol starting, but then Lamar Odom was good enough to start anywhere, but he was just way more effective coming off the bench of being the 6th man, and so he won multiple awards at that time when he was with the Lakers. And maybe Kuzma could be that just for matchup purposes and being able to have scoring once, say, LeBron and Anthony Davis are on the bench. So that could be good to see. Then the Lakers hired another athletic trainer, Anina Hasai. She's been around the team a lot and just seems like a pretty obvious hire for them. So good to see that they hired within still. Then the power rankings coming out from ESPN saying that the Chargers are number 4 overall in the entire NFL as far as the top team. I just think like how that last story says, will the Chargers like have a setback this year as far as wins, and everything else. I think so. They will have a setback just because as of right now, you don't know what your star running back is going to do. He's not even reporting to camp, so you don't even know 100% if he's working out, staying in shape, or getting himself ready for the NFL season. But you just have other problems too that always come up for the Chargers, where a lot of your top players end up getting injured at some point throughout the season. And I just think if certain guys weren't on the team, they should just be making trades, but I'll get into that next. And Jatavius Brown, the linebacker, he's off the players unable to perform list, so good to have another linebacker out there with more depth to see what they have and make some final cuts before the regular season starts. But then also this week I think, when when the Chargers played Arizona, they were missing their first two round picks, and Jerry Tillery and Nasir Adderley, both still dealing with injuries. And of course, like how I said, if they just went the way I did, shooting certain guys, especially guys for Cleveland who got two of the top guys that I liked in Greedy Williams and Mac Wilson, a linebacker and a corner. They both had interceptions and did really well for their team in their first game. So of course, they at least had their players playing, and the Chargers don't have at least one of their playing at all. So obviously I'm not really happy about that, and of course I'm correct as usual. And some quick, actually positive USC news to get out of the way real quick for the end of this video. So yes, Steele, the talented freshman that did pick USC at first in his recruiting trail, but then decided to go to Florida because of a stronger connection, I guess, but then transferred out and it's back at USC. And they were kind of just waiting to see his eligibility, see if he'd be able to play this year or not because of the pretty early transfer. But I think it was a lot easier to allow him to play, which they did. So the NCAA made him eligible this year, which is really cool because he's actually one of the top players at his position at USC right at the moment. But I think it's just going to be harder for Brew McCoy, the wide receiver who transferred back to USC as well, just because he transferred twice pretty much after signing with two schools. So I can imagine him not playing this year, just hopefully waiting it out for 1 year, getting bigger, stronger, quicker, faster, and everything like that. So everything could be copacetic when next season comes around when he's a redshirt freshman. But sadly, we have injury news for USC. Jordan Iosefa, their top senior linebacker, is out 4 to 6 weeks because of an injury he had surgery on recently. And it's going to suck. It's going to get into about a couple games, like maybe 2 or 3 games, and that's if he's able to come back in the following week after the 6 weeks the most. And if it were probably up to me, he could get a medical red shirt and forget this year and still come back for another year at USC and play football if he really wanted to. But I don't know, he might just gut it out and try to get back as soon as possible, just so he can prove that he is still one of the better players out there in the country for the NFL next season. Then Keyshawn Young, another wide receiver looking to transfer away from USC, decided on Marshall. Don't know exactly why he chose that school, but good luck to him. Hopefully he can do something good over there in that conference. And then also Ajane Harris, an ex-cornerback / safety for USC the past couple years, has signed a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, which is really cool. And the other day he did have a few plays and even a sack as well on the quarterback, which is good for him. Hopefully that helps him make the cut. If not for the Eagles, maybe for another team. What sucks, I'm having a brain fart right now because I don't want to exit out of this video. But I am going to have to not redo, but I'm going to add on a quick video of what the one thing I'm missing, is I know there's 3 more things to talk about. But second to last is that they're picking USC as a sleeper in the Pac-12 South. Obviously, they didn't believe that they could win. I think they were like either the 3rd or 4th best team to win that part of the Pac-12, and now they're calling them a sleeper. It's like, okay, like you had no belief in us before, why are you going to have belief in saying that we can upset and do a lot of good stuff? Obviously, it's USC. If you don't have high expectations for them, they're going to come back and do something good. Just trust me, watch. But JT Daniels, the talented freshman quarterback that came into USC last year, is really picking up this type of offense that Graham Harrell has installed recently, and it's becoming a lot easier for him. So hopefully it can be more beneficial toward him and to the team as well, because they have a lot of talented wide receivers and running backs around him. So hopefully they can do a lot of good stuff. But yes, let me get back out of this video and try to figure out what the heck I missed. Yes, how could I forget this freaking guy? Obviously, you always heard me past couple months, even before, even going back to last year, before he was on the team, that I said this guy is very important. I projected him as another Adoree Jackson just because he played very well on offense and defense for his high school team, but he is trying to focus more on the defensive side, and he was showing a lot of promise last year as a freshman, but then got hurt and had to do 2 off-season surgeries on both shoulders. And now, after he missed spring ball and going into this summer and the fall camp, he's been picking off quarterbacks, getting interceptions like on a weekly basis. And for a guy who's only a sophomore, who's going into his second year at USC, I definitely think he's going to be a starter and looking to turn some heads and show the real reason why he was a top recruit, in my opinion, and show out, and hopefully he does good. I'm just so glad he's on the team instead of UCLA, who he first signed with or was going to sign with. But thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think, and have a great rest of your day.